New Black yawned from his seat in the station's cafeteria, looking at the blue planet below. The engineers didn't want to put in such a fancy window in what was basically a science outpost, but the scientists won. The planet was, after all, quite beautiful. It was his first year on the space station. The humans were discovered recently after a faulty FTL device incident with a drunk pilot. Once it was clear they couldn't see the observation post, the station was built. They were an average species, about two-thirds the height of a Daxian, with front-facing eyes and little fur, hinting at their past as endurance predators. Their society was primitive, made up of various kingdoms often in conflict, typical for their development stage. His assistant, Zoraksh, entered the cafeteria, looking happier than usual. He seemed to enjoy filling out paperwork all day, New Black thought, but didn't complain since it spared him the effort. "Dr. New Black?" Zorak said, snapping him out of his thoughts. "We think there's a battle brewing. First one we'll actually get to watch, since the engineers set up the new observatory." That got New Black up and heading to the observation room, with Zorak following. So far, their data on humans came from probes smuggled into the atmosphere, which were quickly found by station security, leading to severe reprimands due to the Federation's no-contact policy with pre-space age species. Poor Kulak got fired for his involvement, and they kept a non-functioning probe as a memento of his brave efforts for science. With the new observatory, they had a clear view of the ground. New Black was amazed as he pushed through the crowd into the observatory. He saw large formations of humans with curved rectangular shields and various metallic weapons and armor. They were thumping on their shields and screaming, though he couldn't hear it. What happened next was truly shocking. Warfare, typically an ugly business, was usually about intimidation rather than actual fighting. Every species the Daxians had documented, including themselves, did what humans called peacocking. Battles usually involved two armies meeting, showing off power until one side surrendered. Few people died that way, and everyone agreed it was the best method, even the most aggressive societies. Humans, however, didn't seem to care for this approach. New Black watched in shock and awe as the two armies closed in and started a bloody fight, tearing each other apart without much regard for common sense. The strangest part was how organized the chaos was. In Daxian history, fights involved a few units breaking off, hitting each other, then retreating almost immediately upon getting injured. This was unlike anything New Black had seen. Thousands of humans maintained formation as they killed each other, even under attack. Soldiers on large, frightening creatures flanked the enemy, and rows of archers showered each other with high-speed arrows. New Black watched, horrified. The event would be recorded, and he knew he'd have to review it later for proper assessment once the shock faded. For now, he watched for 2 hours as the conflict went on, neither side retreating, until one finally broke off and ran, still coordinated and disciplined. As the dust settled, New Black felt nauseated. The sheer number of bodies and blood was unimaginable. It looked like more deaths in one battle than the Daxians had seen in millennia of conflict. He saw humans going through the bodies, picking out the injured, and taking them to tents around the battlefield, which seemed almost comical given the earlier brutality. He didn't expect humans to show empathy or treat their injured. The silence in the observation room was palpable, interrupted only by the occasional researcher vomiting at the sight, including poor Zorak. It was clear they got more than they expected by choosing to observe Earth. Reports needed to be sent immediately detailing what was seen. New Black started on it, making sure to include the part about the medics, fearing that detailing only the brutality could lead to the end of the human species. After the report was submitted, the Federation, after much deliberation, shouting, and calls for an immediate strike on Earth, decided to watch humanity closely. They realized humans were not a regular primitive civilization, but fierce warriors unlike any the galaxy had seen, posing a significant threat if not handled carefully.